Hello and welcome back to the channel. In this video we're going to look at the DJI Osmo 360. As you know, I haven't had much luck using these, and in a review I did before with the Insta360 X5 I wasn't entirely impressed. But let's see if DJI's managed to do something different, or let's see if I'm just a DJI fanboy like some of you said in the last video. Anyway, we're off to a good start because it's a smaller selfie stick and I don't feel quite as much as a dick. Okay, so I've only been using it for a couple of minutes, but the first thing that strikes me is, because I've got the Osmo Pocket 3, I've got a fair idea of where things are in the menus, how to use the touch screen, and to make sure I get to places quite quickly. So I've been able to set up the frame rates, I'm shooting in 8K, 30 frames per second, and if I want to change the white balance, I know where that is. If I want to review some of the clips that I've already taken, I know where that is. Now obviously if I'd stuck with the Insta360 I would have learned all of that, but because I'm so deeply ingrained in the DJI sort of workflow, it makes it a lot easier and it feels a little bit more natural. Okay, so I'm shooting in selfie mode. I've only got one of the cameras turned on, so basically the 8K drops, but it's only using half of the lenses, so it should still be sharp enough. And one of the biggest things about this camera is it is touting a bigger sensor, therefore it should be a sharper image. So not only am I testing the camera, I bought the bundle that came with the DJI Mic Mini, which is attached to me here, and it's having to do quite a hard job just now because it's very breezy, but I do think it's fair to try and do a direct comparison because I've got the DJI Mic 2, which I use for most of my videos, and I'm really intrigued to see how the sound quality of this little thing holds up in these conditions. You also might notice that I'm not talking too much about the specs because the first half of this video is going to be out using the camera, and the second half is going to be back in the studio once I've had a chance to look at the footage, try and edit it a little bit, and then talk about what I actually think of the camera, how easy it's been to edit the footage. So I'm not going to go into that just now, but I must say, compared to the X5, I think it's a little bit better. Okay David, so clearly you're a fanboy. You're telling us that you love this over the X5. Now I'm not quite there yet because I haven't seen the footage, but I must admit the ecosystem of DJI is very hard to beat. And the small form factor of this camera is about half the length of the X5. It's a little bit wider, but it just feels a little bit more discreet in the hand. But one of the main benefits of the 360 is if you ever forget your memory card, you don't need to panic because there's approximately 128 gigabytes of onboard. Let's try that again. There's approximately 128 gigabyte of onboard storage. So if you forget your card, you're pretty much covered for whatever it was you were planning to shoot. Again, I'm now shooting on one side using one camera, so technically the file sizes have halved, but I'm going to move it back into the 360 view, which is basically why most of you will be buying this. But I do want to remind you that one of my reasons for buying these cameras is I'm looking for something that can do POV when I'm out with my camera, something I can pop up on my dashboard and take footage of where I'm going, and it's really to fit in to a photographer's bag, not just somebody who's out to make dramatic motorbike, skiing, earthquake videos. I'm just a photographer. So the great thing, as we all know about a 360 camera, is that it shoots in 360 degrees. So no matter where I point the camera, where I'm looking, the camera is on me at all times. But not only that, it is on everything else. So when you get back and you're editing, if you want to reframe, then you just select where you want the camera to point. And the downside of it is, it's bigger file sizes, and that's when we get into the editing problems, because you then have to set up the way that you want it to look and set keyframes and have the camera pan, and it takes ages and it takes ages. But let's see if DJI have managed to make that a little bit more streamlined. But personally, I doubt it, because that is the basis of a 360 degree camera. I'll say that again, but that is the basis of a 360 degree camera. So what are my first impressions? I've been out with the camera for about half an hour. That's not a great field test, let's be honest. But what I'm finding is the buttons on it are in the right place, the menus are in the right place, and it's easy to use. The X5 was no different, it was easy to use, but the issue became once it got back to the studio, because the X5 you had to download the files to your phone, edit them on the phone, and then transfer the files to your computer to then start putting them into Final Cut Pro. So I'm hoping that this is going to be easier and I can directly link these files from here into my computer. But again, that remains to be seen. But I'm pleasantly surprised. I don't feel like an idiot. Because I've got the smaller selfie stick, it's a lot lighter, and it is, as I said, a lot less intrusive holding this in my hand. The software will be doing its magic when I'm swinging the thing about my head, and I still get blown away by the fact that the software can remove the selfie stick from the footage, and that's just nothing short of magical. Stick with me as we go back to the studio and we'll do a bit more in-depth dive into the specs, and I'll show you some of the footage from today, because I don't want to judge this to be too good until I see the footage. Okay, so let's start with probably the biggest headline stat that there is, and that is the size of the sensor in the Osmo 360. It's 1/1.1, which makes it, I believe, the biggest sensor in a 360 camera. And I did notice that when I started to edit it, even especially when I was using only one side and using it as a selfie. So that was a big bonus. It can shoot up to 8K in 360 degree mode. There are other modes. It can shoot 6K up to 60 frames per second and 5K at 60 frames per second. 4K up to 120 frames per second for that super slow-mo. The max video bit rate is 170 Mbps. I don't want to say that wrong. When it comes to battery and recording time, if you're in a lab, apparently you can shoot up to 100 minutes when recording at 8K 30 frames per second and up to 190 minutes in 6K 24 frames per second with endurance mode. I think we could all do with endurance mode. When it comes to storage and media, this is another area where the 360 really wins. I should probably call it the Osmo 360. This is another area where the Osmo 360 really does shine, because it has up to 128 gig of onboard storage. So as I mentioned, if you forget your memory card, you're covered, because, well, there's onboard storage, and I've already mentioned that. Obviously you can expand that and you can stick in a micro SD card and go to your heart's content, but I've shot this entire video just using the onboard storage in the Osmo 360, and that was really refreshing. So when it comes to stabilisation, it's not a gimbal like the Pocket 3, but it does have Rock Steady 3 and Horizon Steady modes. Horizon Steady modes. And they really did work. You can see that in the footage earlier on. It's nice and steady. There is a crop in factor to do that, and that's where the Pocket 3 is a little bit better, because it is actually a physical gimbal on top of the camera. Durability and environmental. If you fancy it, you can take it to -20, and you can also take it down 10 meters because it's got waterproof rating of IP68. And finally we come to the physical size of it and the touchscreen. The touchscreen is 2 inches, I believe, and I found it very bright, and the size of the screen, it was easy enough to swipe to get into the settings and to change the modes even with my thumbs. So yeah, that was another tick. Okay, specs aside, am I going to put it in my bag? Let's be upfront about it. The answer to that is no. It turns out I'm not a DJI fanboy. I'm basically looking for something that does a very specific job, and a 360 camera is definitely not it. And you'll be glad to know this will be the last review that I do on a 360 camera. That said, I do believe DJI have made some improvements and refinements over the Insta360 ecosystem, because what I found really good was that I could plug the camera straight into my computer and download the files. I didn't have to put them into my phone and then start to edit them on the phone and then export them from there to my computer and then take them into Final Cut. It was literally plug the thing in, the DJI software opened up, I could edit it fairly quickly and then export it and then drag it into Final Cut Pro. But it's not a great process. What I would say is that the software for the Insta360 was better on the phone than the DJI Mimo software. It seemed quite sparse in comparison. There wasn't so many sort of bells and whistles in there. The Mimo app was fine, but I did find it to be a little bit lacking. The Insta360 I think definitely has the edge with their software and what they can do in the automated processes of setting your shot up, although it did get it wrong for me a couple of times. I did find that I was having to do it a bit more manually on the DJI Mimo, but again, it was fine. The keyframes were exactly where I would expect them to be. One click, add a keyframe, that was it. Move your footage forward, add another, and then you can change the way they interact with each other. And you can see that in this little bit of footage, which I'll show again. It literally took me a couple of minutes to do that. The other thing I've mentioned twice, but seeing as we're summing up here, having onboard storage of 120 gig is just a masterstroke. Again, if you're shooting at 8K and using the 360 degree mode, you will burn through some of that quite quickly, but it is a nice thing to have. And if you've got a micro SD in your bag, then you're going to be covered for whatever eventuality it is. Now, the pack that I bought, it came with the battery charger, so I had 3 batteries in here, nice little compartments. Again, DJI, very, very good at this sort of stuff. And it came with the DJI Mic Mini, which I shot the first half of the video. I've actually went back to the DJI Mic 1, which is going into my camera just now, and I can already hear a difference in that. The Mic Mini actually blew me away and made me think about, do I want to keep this or sell it? And if I do sell the 360, which I'm probably going to do, I might still keep that microphone because it works wirelessly with the Osmo Pocket 3. And again, it's another example of how the DJI ecosystem just works. But no, I'm not a fanboy. I did prefer it over the X5, but ultimately speaking, they're not for me. So what are my final thoughts? If you haven't guessed already, it's not for me. It's a great camera, it's a very robust package, and the pricing of it is a little bit cheaper than the X5. But again, you can spend as much as you want because there are accessories for every single eventuality that you might use the camera for. But as I said, I'm just a photographer. I'm trying to make my life easier, but I want to be able to show you from behind the lens what I'm looking at, what my settings are on my camera, and I want something that I can mount here, show you that from a point of view, put it on a stick, put it in the car, and be able to go round a corner without it drifting like it does with Osmo Pocket 3, which for me is one of my major bugbears of that. So the 360 isn't going to be the answer for that, although it would be good in the low light mode, which I know I never tested. But again, halfway through this field test, it just reminded me so much of using the Insta360, and that wasn't a great experience either. So I'm going to wait for the next Osmo action to come out, or maybe even look at the GoPros, because again, that will do what I need it to do in the car, and getting it mounted on my chest, it's going to be a little bit easier. Whilst this isn't the biggest camera in the world, it is bigger than an action camera. It's quite meaty and weighty, and I don't really want to have that sitting there all the time. Plus, DJI, I bought the neck strap for this, and you attach that there using one of the screw clips, and there's nothing to protect the back lens that's going to be bouncing off my chest. Okay, I could put a lint cloth over that, but can you imagine on a windy day how much of a faff that's going to be? So I think a bit more thought needs to be put into that, and if I've missed an accessory, please let me know in the comments, guys. But that seems like a bit of an oversight on DJI's part. So just like the Insta360 X5, it's a great and capable camera, and for somebody that is looking for a 360 camera, you won't go wrong with that, but you won't go wrong with the Insta360 either. It's just not for me. So if you're somebody that's looking for that, hanging out the back of a helicopter, using wingsuits, then you're going to be absolutely over the moon with this. I've deliberately not shown you side-by-side footage because this isn't an Insta360 versus the Osmo 360 video. It's literally just my first impressions of this, and would it have been significantly better than Insta360 X5? And as we know, the answer to that is no. But if you've got any suggestions on what I should try next, then let me know in the comments. But go easy, because I'm not trashing the DJI and I wasn't trashing the Insta360. It's just my opinion, and that is why we're here. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next one.